like there's a sane version of me that runs my life, and then there's a crazy version of me that is always trying to escape from beneath the careful administration of sane me. Sane me's always watching over crazy me's back, just making sure it does the right thing. But crazy me's the one who writes the poetry, comes up with interesting ideas, but sane me pays the bills and makes sure all the bullshit is going okay. And they're always in conflict, not all the time, but crazy me is always trying to shake sane me. So I'll be driving down the street and I'll put on the left indicator, but then I'll go right and try and beat myself back home before sane me can catch up. But not all the time. Crazy me loves to get a 6-pack or 2 and go sit by the train tracks at night. Doesn't go, instead of going back from work to go home, it'll find that space between the train tracks of life. It'll get off the train tracks of life, and then sane me's going, Darby, what the fuck are you doing? Especially like at night, if I'm getting drunk, there's crazy me riding with booze, and then sane me in the morning will be looking for evidence, going, oh, what did crazy me get up to? I've got to fucking tidy up behind him again. Crazy me's always off the leash trying to race forward, and there's sane me behind him cleaning up the mess. But the last couple of years, crazy me has sort of been kept in line a little bit more, and I was able to use sane me to write my last book, which is really weird because sane me doesn't normally creative, but he kept crazy me disciplined. Much more disciplined, and I was writing and coming up with crazy shit absolutely sober for the last couple of years. I've written my best stuff because of that too. But I do miss the antics of crazy me. Like I do let him off the leash here and there, but it's much more disciplined. Like sane me runs crazy me's life now. Sane me understands that crazy needs to go crazy and do some weird shit, get out of Melbourne, go to the country, maybe get pissed, just enjoy life a bit, get a 6-pack of depressants and high-cost, low-return smile juice. But sane me now makes me read books in bed every single day at night for at least 20 minutes, and that benefits crazy me, like just absorbing stuff, taking in information that I wouldn't normally be exposed to. So there's a weird discipline. It's like sane me's disciplined crazy me a lot. But sane me has deep respect for crazy me. Sane me knows that I have to feel crazy in a weird world to stay sane. So sane me knows the sanity involved in letting crazy me off the hook, letting him do his things. I once wrote a poem, My Drunk Self Deeply Regrets My Sober Decisions. And that used to be crazy me kind of disrespecting sane me and thinking sane me is just trying to ruin my life and get me into the dumbest situations, like a promotion at work where I've got extra responsibility. So I had no time to stay sane writing crazy poetry shit. But I love how there's an impulsive side of us and a restrained side of us, and it's weird or difficult to try and get that balance. And I feel like I'm still wrestling with that balance. For years I had that balance was all out of whack continuously. I always felt like if I'm a football team, I had all my players up forward and no one in defence. So I didn't give a shit if I lost games, as long as I always felt like as long as I'm kicking shitloads more goals than I'm conceding, that doesn't matter, it's all good. But I also thought it didn't matter if I lost games either, as long as I had a good highlights reel. And of course I was going to have a good highlights reel if all my team was up forward. But it has been weird to try and sort of play with those balances, balancing crazy and sane and trying to make them work and complement each other. I felt to be able to pursue my dreams, I had to pull myself off the train tracks. I had to derail myself from all of my sane decisions to be able to pay rent with poetry, which is kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I am doing it. I had to be able to derail sane me quite a lot to almost find that initial thrust, that escape velocity out of the craziness of life that just involved 100% sane me. So I had to almost triple down I had to go 80% crazy, 20% sane to be able to break out of falling into the 100% sanity trap. So now I'm trying to wrestle that 80% of crazy back to almost kind of a balance. I think if I'm 55% crazy, 45% sane, that seems like a pretty good balance. But I loved how crazy me was always self-sabotaging sane me. Like, I'd turn down job promotions. I'd tell my manager at work that I marked all middle management emails as spam, but it didn't work because Microsoft Office told me that I wasn't allowed to block emails from my own company. I pissed myself when I said it, and my manager just looked at me aghast, like, "What are you doing?" I loved it, marking my own emails as spam, companies' emails as spam. It was almost like I was trying to get out of that 9 to 5. I was always trying to throw little spanners in the works here and there, to the point where one of my managers once said, "Darby, what are you even doing here? You should be just writing poetry under a bridge." But sane me would feel all indignant, going, how the fuck am I supposed to write poetry under a bridge and pay my bills and actually stay alive? I thought it was almost like an insult to my ability to be able to stay alive. It's true, you almost have to go into that crazy, for me, I had to almost kind of self-destruct the sanity version of myself. Otherwise, I would have ended up living a life that I fucking hated. So yeah, it was weird to learn that crazy me could actually keep sane me actually sane. Because being too sane, you actually go crazy. It's weird, and crazy not in the good way. I've got a friend who seems to be lives 100% weighted in crazy land. So this whole idea of going from 80% crazy, 20% sane to now, that pulled me out of the rut of a rat race and a 9 to 5 and all that sort of shit. Now I'm trying to find that balance. And in some ways it feels like a small death, reining my craziness in and giving my craziness more discipline. It helped me write my best ever book, I think. Like, everything just came together when I finally wrote my first book completely sober. And I can't write drunk anymore. Like, I used to love writing pissed. And I still can. But it just all comes out wrong in some way. Crazy me always felt the emotions on the extremes, like either really down or really up. And sane me is sort of somewhere in the middle. And it's kind of dangerous to be somewhere in the middle for too long, but it's also dangerous to be on the margins of that as well. So it's always this weird seesaw act. Sane me has been marching through the last few weeks, doing all the right things, paying the bills, managing my commitments and responsibilities. But I definitely need a crazy rendezvous in the country with crazy me. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's all I've got. But if you'd like to leave a review for me podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to it, I'd love that.